Hello.
Hello.
But we're not recording anything, are we?
We do record
Oh,
everything.
oh
We're recording everything. Where is your bell?
no.
Can you ring the bell, please?
Wait a minute. I don't think it's really you. It sounds like another person who's gotten your phone, taken your phone away from you, and is impersonating you. How do I know that it's really you? You have to give me a password.
Because nobody is calling you except me.
Wait a minute. Where the hell is the bell? Oh, it's on the door. Just a second. Gosh. Oh my gosh.
What do you
I
mean,
was
what the
just
hell
going.
is bell?
Well, yeah. Well, that means what is the hell is the bell?
Oh, nice, nice. Thank you. What a nice beginning.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome everyone, especially some of our new subscribers. And some of our subscribers are in India, and some of them are in France, and some of them are in Michigan, and some of them are in Texas. How
Wow,
does it make you feel?
such a geography. I thought if we'd be in another universe, we could say some of our subscribers are in the constellation of Orion, and some of our subscribers are somewhere in the uh, Saturn
On
area or
Mars.
Mars or Venus, and that wouldn't
Yeah.
that be great?
Yes, I mean, actually, we have a philosopher truck driver named Jaredon, but he goes by the name Mr. A. But he just let me, well, he just posted somewhere a photograph, beautiful photograph of some trucks lined up with this beautiful sky above it. Hello, Mr. A. Hello, Jaredon. Um,
Hello.
hello, hello.
No,
Well,
seriously, because when I was in the US, I remember I met the truck driver. He was a nice guy, absolutely excellent. Knew everything. We spoke like an hour while he was giving me a lift. Sorry, go on.
well, tell us some more about that. Why you were hitchhiking in Boston, or where were you?
No, I wasn't hitchhiking exactly, but I'll tell you about later. Please continue.
Okay, well, when you said give me a lift, that would be get into a vehicle. So what I'm wondering is why are you walking in Boston?
Yeah, I happened to had a lunch or something at the fuel station. I don't remember, or some kind of dining area, and I saw that wonderful truck, huge one. They call it, I don't know, long haulers. I
18,
don't know how many
eight,
long wheelers,
eight,
many
18
18
wheelers.
wheelers. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just the guy saw me that he saw that I saw him, and he said, "Do you like my truck?" I said, "I adore your truck," and we got to talking about everything, the cars, I don't know about trucks, jobs, everything. And he said, "You wanna ride?" I said, "Yeah, fine." Because I was traveling by bus. I said, "I'm going there and there." He said, "Okay, I'm passing by. I can give you a lift." I guess that's a British expression, right? Give you a lift, or maybe an American. Anyway, he understood me, or I understood him, and yeah, we spent 2 hours talking about cars because I used to be a car driver, the truck driver to be exact, but not exactly 18 wheelers. But still, I wish
You used to
I
be a truck
was.
driver
Say
in
again?
past life? In your past life or this life?
Oh no, I was in the army. I used to drive a truck,
Oh, I
huge
thought you
one,
peeled
the army truck.
potatoes.
Yeah, that too. When I was punished, they sent me peeling potatoes. But when I was like a good behavior, showed good behavior, they let me drive the truck.
Very good, very good. Well,
That's how army
you
works.
yes, that's true. That's true. So, what is our? I wanted to say something about truck stops. I have a very funny story about a truck stop, and we have an episode about spaces and about space and about anything and about nothing. I really wonder if I can tell this story without any notes. So, this friend of mine, Jaredon, was explaining that he's a truck driver and he's been struggling because there's a lot of supply chain backup. There's not enough workers to unload the trucks. Sometimes he'll get a job and he'll drive there and he's like 7 minutes late and they tell him just to, you know, go to hell, or just, you know, they don't want it, they don't want his delivery, and then he has his merchandise. So during the pandemic, it was kind of challenging for Jaredon just to do his job. He also trucks into Canada, and he has come down into Dallas, and we went and drank a bunch of beer together with this other guy who's a Bible study guy. Well, anyhow, back to the truck stop. So when you're driving along, you see these signs that say truck stop. And you would think that that means that people who drive a truck could stop there, go in and wash their hands, go in there and have a little bit of food. Maybe they need to park their truck there overnight. It's a truck stop. Mm-hmm. So Jaredon was telling me something about how he was driving along and he saw a new sign that was a huge truck stop, but he saw a little sign that said no trucks. And he thought that must have just been a joke. And then he got out of his truck and he went to the door of the little diner where you go in to have some food or to, you know, buy some Coca-Cola or whatever you want, beer. And on the window of the door, it said closed. But he looked in the window, he saw people walking around on the inside of the store. So he's trying to put all these pieces together. You know, during the pandemic, we all went a little bit crazy and you know, there were all these different signs and all these different messages of what we should do, we shouldn't do. We need to wear a mask. We can touch our face. We can't cut our hair. So Jaredon pulls up to this truck stop and there's a sign that says no trucks. And then he gets out of his truck to go in to get some food, and there's a sign that says closed. Okay. Then he decides, oh, there's a side window to this little restaurant. If he drives his truck to the side window, he could lean in with his mask on or whatever, mask off, and put in his order. Maybe he wants a chicken fried steak. Maybe he wants some vegetables. Maybe he wants some apple pie. So he goes back and he gets in his truck and he drives his 18-wheeler to the little side window. But the height of the overhang is not enough for an 18-wheeler. So an 18-wheeler sits up pretty high. And remember, this is a truck stop.
Absolutely.
So he's figuring, it's kind of weird. He can't get anything, even though it's a truck stop. So then he pulls his truck off to the side and he gets out of the truck and he walks over to the window. And then there's a sign on the window that said, no truckers. So this made him crazy and he tried to figure out what to do. He just decided to get back in his truck and, just kind of be in his truck. So scary.
I would call the lawyer right away because I was being marginalized. If I was being him, I felt like I was being marginalized and discriminated against, all this stuff. But what I liked about the story, two things. Can I say what I like most about that?
Sure. Yeah.
But first one is it's very funny, and we can make a story like script like a Chekhov style. Second is you recited it great. You are a natural storyteller. I think you could have made a great Mark Twain if you were born 200 years ago, for instance. And I like how you said it.
Yeah.
I like how you told it. And the third thing I liked is like we've agreed that we're going to make an episode about gardening, and somehow we're on the trucks.
These are the mysteries of petromotherapy. Now,
exactly.
Jaredon also is a very amazing person. He's not only a reasonable man, he makes his own sausage. He knows how to make wine from dandelions. He has a piece of land, and on his piece of land, he does gardening. So
Oh,
he's up in Minnesota, and he has a little bit of a Canadian sort of accent. He carries Canadian money. And he said that this year they're having a hard time planting their potatoes because of the freeze that has lasted so long up north. Mark Stevens, who is our another subscriber who does a lot of videos and talks about trains and bridges, they've had cold weather up there too. So we're actually moving toward gardening. And I have been to some famous gardens around the world. One of my favorite gardens is the Tuileries in Paris. I love the Tuileries.
okay.
And I once
It's
went to
okay. It's
Paris.
okay to love to lyrics. Go on.
Okay. Um, so I went to Paris and I took some art history. I was teaching art history and I took some students and their mothers and aunts or whatever. We went to Paris. And well, I've been to Paris many times, but I like the Tuileries. It's really, really great. Also, you can take a bus out to where Monet painted his water gardens, and the water gardens are also beautiful. So the water gardens outside of Paris are beautiful, and the Tuileries in Paris are beautiful, and Versailles, the estate of Louis XIV, uh, yeah, the king of France. Anyhow, they have all of this topiary art. They have like like trees and bushes and things that are like carved with big saws, like like chainsaws. Have you ever cut down a tree or carved a bush or done anything with your chainsaw?
Every day. Every day. I can make an episode about that. But back to the Tuileries. Are you talking about the public garden they have in
Yes.
nearby Louvre? Yeah. Yeah, I thought you
Yeah,
did.
yeah. Yeah, the Tuileries are outside of, well, I mean, kind of around the Louvre. But another garden that I really like is in Portland, Oregon. I was up there in February, and Portland is called the Rose City, and they have a rose garden there that has, well, they have like historic roses that are like 100 years old. So the old antique roses actually have a natural aroma to them or scent to them. They're just like fabulous. You just like walk around these gardens, you like almost pass out because the aromas are the scents are just like so fabulous. But Portland is the Rose City. Of course, in New York City, there is a very famous garden. You may have heard of it in Manhattan, and it's
Mhm.
called Central Park.
Oh, yeah. I was there
When were you there?
in Central Park.
Last week?
No.
No, what did you remember? What did you remember about? I know Boston has gardens too, but what did you remember about Central Park?
Well, when I entered that there, I thought that what used to be a crime place before I was there, right? But when I visited the US, when was it? 1998, I guess. Yeah. And it wasn't as dangerous to walk through the Central Park as it used to be. And I thought, what the worst that could happen, right? And I just walked through it, and I remember that feeling of surprise that nobody's robbing me. Understand? Hey, if we go back a little bit to Minnesota thing, I like how you said the Minnesota. I thought what kind of accent you're trying to imitate, and then you said that
That's
Minnesota.
Sheridan.
Yeah,
No,
and I also when you said
Sheridan.
Canadian, yeah, when you said Canadians, when I say Canadians, people look at me strangely, like, what do you mean? Canadians, nicest people in the world. When I say Canadians, I mean exactly that. And if I lived in Minnesota, I think I haven't been there, but I've met a few people out, and they all like beer and cold and hiking, do all the things that I like, and we've become friends lately. So
No, no,
shout
you need
out,
to come.
right? That's how they say it. Shout out to everyone who lives in Minnesota.
Yes. Well, also, I would just like to mention in New York, there is a section of Central Park that is called Strawberry Fields Forever. And that was where John Lennon was shot some years ago by a crazed fan. But let's not get violent. Let's just try to keep it cheerful.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I don't mean any hard feelings. But was he shot in Central Park in New York? I did not know that.
No, John Lennon was living with Yoko Ono, and they were like they had a bed that they lived in, and and I think it was like the apartment's called the Dakota or something like that. Anyhow, they had a bed that they shot videos in, like Give Peace a Chance, and that's when he was with Yoko. And he just came out one day and just like looked left and looked right, and one of his fans ran up to him and shot him. And to memorialize the death of John Lennon, who was such a great lyricist and musician and activist, they dedicated a part of Central Park that's called Strawberry Fields Forever. And you will go there and you can see people have laid roses there. They've laid a bottle of whiskey there. They have honored, John Lennon in this little area called, Strawberry Fields Forever.
Oh, I did not know that. Thank you.
Well, there's another really great park in New Orleans. New Orleans is a city that is, the cemeteries, they can't keep they can't keep the bodies underground because it floods all the time. So they have these above ground mausoleums. And the film Easy Rider with Jack Nicholson's in it, and what's his name?
No, I missed that one.
Peter Fonda. Well, it's shot in a cemetery in New Orleans. And this movie. I know you know this movie. We've discussed this movie before in a past life. But anyhow, the gardens around this famous cemetery in New Orleans is quite beautiful. And then because it's planted with lots and lots of trees and there's all these mausoleums above the ground. And then my favorite cemetery garden of the whole world, guess where it is?
Where?
It's in Paris. It's called Père Lachaise, Père. And that's where Jim Morrison is buried, and Edgar Degas is buried, and Proust is buried there. It's like it's in the Montmartre part of Paris, and you go there, and it's just beautiful. It's beautiful gardens, and there's beautiful, sculptures, and there's angels, and there's people walking around eating croissants.
Hey, when you say about that lovingly and that you liked it, I wish I was buried in Paris one day.
Yes, well, you have the opportunities to still.
Hey, you know what else great? You know what city have greatest parks in the world? London. When I moved to London many years ago, I thought, wow, that would be like another New York or I don't know, concrete jungle. But then I realized how green and full of parks London was.
Well, one of the famous parks is Hyde Park.
Yeah, it's sort of Central Park. I think the equivalent of the Central Park in New York, but in London.
Yes, it's in London. And another one of our very famous subscribers, Tony Carnes, lives outside of London, and he's been doing a lot of painting and writing, and we hope that he is doing well and on the rebound. Also, Mark has been doing some digital art, but we have quite an eclectic mix of people in our.
Shout out to Tony and Mark. Hey,
Yes, I have to go ahead.
Yeah, you say first.
No, no. Okay, so my mention has to do with something about peacocks. Now, in San Antonio, that's where I'm originally from, there's a very famous hotel called the Menger Hotel, and it backs on to a garden behind the Alamo. And the Menger Hotel is like a super classy hotel. They have a fabulous bar called the Roosevelt Bar. So Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders actually met there. Oscar Wilde has been there. Uh, you know, a lot of people have come through the Menger Hotel, and they have this central garden on the inside of the Menger Hotel. So it's built around a square. I mean, first it was just like a horizontal hotel, then they built around it. And during the time of my grandparents, which would have been like a couple of generations ago, there were peacocks that wandered through the gardens of the Menger Hotel. And what was my second favorite animal after peacocks?
Some kind of fish. I don't remember. Fish? Was it fish?
It's a crocodile.
Right.
So they had crocodiles that were kind of swimming or laying around in these shallow pools. And it was considered very fashionable to sit out on this patio and drink like mint juleps and like watch the crocodiles and the peacocks. I mean, doesn't that sound decadent? I love it.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does sound decadent. What that means, by the way?
Decadent means like, oh, it's like, oh, I don't know how decadent means. It's like so sensuously delicious, like drinking bourbon or.
I thought that means incongruity.
Drinking bourbon? No. Decadent means you're indulging in a pleasure that's slightly too much.
The peacocks and crocodiles sound decadent.
Well, not just a peacock, but you're at a fabulous old hotel and everybody has a ton of money and you're just hanging around eating and drinking and being interesting. And also Bill Clinton, he was a U.S. president in the Menger Hotel. He liked, I don't know if it's mango ice cream, or maybe it's like mint. I forget. I think it's mango ice cream. But the Menger Hotel on Sunday serves this mango ice cream. And like if you're sitting there in a little small corner eating mango ice cream, you remember different things about Bill Clinton and what he was famous for.
Yeah, I remember the one thing he was famous for. But can I say? Can we go back to parks a little bit? Because you said when you're sitting there and eating and enjoying life and everything is decadent. And I thought, well, there is a best park in London. It's called Regent's Park. You mentioned Hyde Park, but I didn't really like it. Full of people and too huge. But Regent's Park is way smaller. I guess there is a zoo in it. I don't remember it, but it's so comfortable. I've spent many days, many afternoons in it, just sitting there alone, eating salad. I don't know. I'm sitting on the bench, observing the scenery and all the squirrels. There are animals and so on, and those little lakes. And eventually, I just strolled around the grounds, and I was enjoying it. Sorry, that was my
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well. Between San Antonio and Austin, so Austin is the state capital where University of Texas is, but between San Antonio and Austin, this whole area was settled by Czechs, Poles, Germans. It's the Texas Hill Country, and there is a park there called Landa Park, Landa Park. And I have a lot of old photographs, and I have a photograph of my mother and her girlfriends when they were in high school. And they were wearing shorts, and they were wearing little cute tops. And there used to be these swan boats that you could get in, and you pedal with your feet, and you go around this kind of lake area and look cute and look for cute boys. And I think that swan boats are pretty cool. I like swan boats. But you were eating a salad in the park? Who eats a
Yeah,
salad in
absolutely.
a
You can buy a salad. They have the stands who sell food, and yeah, you can buy it and eat it. That's what salads are for. Hey, I remember when I was a young boy when I first saw the peacock. I was 5. I was born in Siberia. We didn't have anything like that, and then I moved to south of Russia, and I saw that peacock. I was 5 years old again, and I thought, well, why is his tail so big? How is it's large feathery tail, right? Which makes it beautiful. This bird, it's full of colors, and I thought,
Yes.
why does it need it? And I don't know why. Well, I was told that probably that's how the male species attract female, but I don't have
Yeah.
any feathery tail, right? And nobody is attracted to me. I wish you know. What are we talking
Okay, we
about?
have wait a half just slow down a second. I was
Okay.
also surprised to find out because I always think as the woman as the seductress and that the man is sort of the victim of a woman's seduction. I mean that's just
Oh
my
yes.
take on life.
Oh
But
yes.
but I was surprised that the beautiful peacock is with the pretty feathers and everything is actually the male, and he goes
Hmm.
around,
Yeah.
you know, wiggling his tail feathers. But
Exactly.
I've also seen white peacocks. I don't know how they did that, but I've seen some white peacocks at a zoo somewhere.
Oh, I did not know such bird exists.
Yeah, we might have
But
to
I'm
do
not
another
saying
whole
you're lying.
episode on
I
birds.
know now I know they do exist.
Well, in Dallas, we have the Dallas Arboretum, which is 66 acres of land on White Rock Lake.
Mm.
And it was once a dairy farm. And the one of the original owners of Texas Instruments and a lot of seismographic machinery, DeGoye, he was doing explorations off of Mexico, and he had this wife who played the piano, and they actually had a house up in New Jersey, and they were going down to Mexico quite a bit. And his wife got tired of all that and said, "Well, why don't we just buy some land and do something?" And so they built this mansion, the DeGoyer Mansion. And I used to be a docent there, which means you wander around and you talk about the house. So it's like
Mhm.
wandering around talking about the architecture. And so they bought this 66-acre dairy farm. And then they bought they bought things from all around the world. Like there's things in there from like Carnegie Mellon, they're like Randolph Hearst out in. They've got like some stained glass. They've got all this amazing antiques and all these windows, and there's beautiful gardens there. So when the DeGoyer, you know, the when Mr. DeGoyer died, the property went to his wife, and then when she passed away, I believe that they gave it to the city of Dallas. Now, first of all, they gave it to SMU, Southern Methodist University, and they were going to use it for students to hang out and study. But anyhow, so what happened is that the Dallas Arboretum uh, came into the management and ownership, maybe like co-ownership of this huge piece of property, and then they also bought like 33 acres next to it. So when you're wandering around these grounds, you can see sailboats and people rowing crew, and you can see people fishing. And in the city of Dallas, which is a big urban metroplex, there's this oasis in the city. And I think that's what you were referring to when you said you really like to go to the Regent's Park, that
Yeah,
you could just feel refreshed and you could just eat a little something and wander around. And
it's absolutely beautiful. Hey, and I was going to ask you. Can I ask you something? Like,
sure.
do you remember a few episodes ago we discussed the graffiti murals, right? Like pictures on the walls. So next time you see anybody or you see a person who painted that picture, could you just come up to him and ask him to paint an enormous realistic mural of some kind of a peacock on the wall?
Well, the thing is, the mural artists here get paid. They get paid like $500,000, $700,000. So in Dallas
Oh,
supports the arts.
Oh, I
So,
thought that was semi-illegal, and they painted it in the night, like
well, no,
graffiti.
there's, yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want to go over a bridge and talk to gangsters while they're, no, I'm saying that in Dallas, there's money, so people support the arts. So the muralists get paid $500, $600, $900 to paint murals on the side of these brick walls, brick
Okay,
buildings.
but
But
don't go up to muralists or however that person who paint murals is called. Just go to gangsters and ask them to paint an enormous peacock somewhere on the
no,
wall
no,
where you could see.
no, I actually know some gangsters. I don't think they're subscribing, but this guy, I asked him what his name
We
was.
need them. Uh-huh.
So my friend Alex and I were driving around some art in the city, and I don't know why we were at this one area. We were doing an art drop, which means you write online where you're going to be, and you say you're going to drop off some art, and then your followers run over there to pick up the art. It's kind of like a pub crawl. Like a pub crawl, you go from place to place drinking, but an art drop, an artist will just drop a piece of art, and then everybody runs there to pick it up. Anyhow, so we were like dropping some art, and then we saw this guy walking by, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "We're like dropping art." He goes, "What does that mean?" I said, "Well, this is art. Do you want it?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "Well, how much is it?" I said, "It's free to the first person that gets there. What's your name?" And you know what his name was?
What? Roman?
Somebody.
Oh,
He told me his name was Somebody.
yeah.
But
He
I
was
mean,
very creepy and cagey.
yeah, exactly. But no, I also have a picture that I can probably show on another episode in San Antonio. Yeah, it's in San Antonio. There is another wealthy woman who is married to an oil man, and it's called, is it Laguna Gloria? No, the McNay. In Austin, it's the Laguna Gloria, and in San Antonio, it's the McNay. So these are like wealthy people that have a whole bunch of money and go around and buy art, and then they donate the property to the city or something. But I have a picture, really beautiful picture of my first cousin, Dave Maltini, standing next to, it's made from pieces of tile, and it's a peacock next to some pieces. Well, it's made from, like, as big as your hand is a square tile, and embedded in the wall is a huge peacock, and my first cousin is standing there next to the peacock. So peacocks have been a favorite of mine for some time now.
Yeah.
I think I feel a little.
Yes, I upset you with my request, but I apologize.
Why are you apologizing?
Because you sound upset.
No, I'm not upset.
You're not. Maybe
I'm upset that you're apologizing. You're always apologizing for doing something. You're always apologizing for speaking. You're apologizing for. Well, I mean, I made you feel bad for eating a salad in the park. I mean, but that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I guess
when I was in the it does wrap up the episode. When I was in the Tuileries, you know what I ate wandering around?
What? Salad?
No, hell no. Salads are for like cows and rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
Salads are for cows and rabbits. I had these pommes frites, these really hot French fries in a cone, and in Paris you put mayonnaise on it, and then you sprinkle it with some like pepper. That was so good.
How many calories was it in it? I wonder.
I don't know. I ate them all.